Hi, this is Greg Luce. I'm the Director of Research with the Missouri Soybean Association and Merchandising Council, and I'm also adjunct with the University of Missouri. I'd like to talk a little bit today about growing industrial hemp in Missouri. So Missouri's got quite a history of hemp production. It goes back to about 1835 and reached its peak in the mid to late 1800s. And today we are talking about once again growing industrial hemp in Missouri, or hemp for the purposes of grain and fiber and CBD production. It's interesting to note that no matter what the usage or what the type, if it's grain hemp, fiber, CBD, marijuana, they all fall into the same genus species, Cannabis sativa. But all forms of cannabis that fall below 0.3% THC are legally considered industrial hemp. And of course, the industrial hemp is what we're talking about today. So the industrial hemp and the reasons for the interest in it can be used for many, many purposes and many saleable products. The grain can be used for many things. The fiber, of course, has a lot of applications in all kinds of fiber production, and many things you can see in the pictures there can be made out of hemp. The flower is what we use to extract the cannabinoids, and the CBD production comes from the CBD-rich flowers. So we'll talk about that as we go along. Just a little bit of background about industrial hemp. It's a summer annual plant, photosensitive, photoperiod sensitive, much like soybean, and it's mostly short day like soybean. Also, it's mostly dioecious, and dioecious means that it has both male plants and female plants. And in CBD production, we do not want male plants out there. It's the flowers on the female plant that are rich in CBD, and male plants, or male plants being there that would pollinate female plants, would reduce the CBD levels greatly in those fields. So we plant clones of female type plants or seedlings grown from feminized seed for CBD production. As far as the management goes in terms of growing industrial hemp compared to other crops, it'd be really a lot like growing winter wheat or corn. We do want to avoid unproductive areas. Industrial hemp does not like wet feet. Poorly drained fields do not work well. As far as the fertility, keeping the pH at that 6 to 6.5 level is ideal. And for fertility, P and K needs would be something like for corn or wheat. And for nitrogen, if we're growing it for fiber, 50 to 80 pounds of nitrogen may be all that would be required. If it's for grain production, then a higher rate of nitrogen could be important, and CBD would be somewhere in the middle. So there's a range of nitrogen rates that are typically recommended. Some of the watch-outs are around our pests. There's insect pests, there's diseases of hemp, but more importantly is weed control. We have to control the weeds. There's no labeled herbicides on the market, and we need to start with a clean field and keep those weeds from ever getting really started, because weed control is our big bugaboo as far as industrial hemp goes. When it comes to planting time, we don't have a lot of great information yet on varieties and variety selection. That'll be something that we'll continue to work on and monitor. As far as germination, it can be quite low, so a germination test is definitely recommended. Planting depth is very important. We'd like that seed to be placed fairly shallow, a quarter to a half an inch is ideal. Never more than an inch, but a quarter to a half an inch is really where that seed needs to be, and it can be very sensitive to crusting conditions. Good seed to soil contact is important. If we're raising industrial hemp for fiber or for grain, then we're going to be planting in narrow rows, likely with a drill or a 15-inch row planter. And seeding rates would be for grain between 20 and 30 pounds to the acre. For fiber, we'd be looking at approximately 50 pounds seeding rate to the acre. And seed size is quite variable on hemp. The dates, the ideal time to plant industrial hemp for fiber or for grain would be in the May-June time period. As far as CBD goes, we'd be planting CBD with specialized equipment designed to plant sets from either clones or seedlings. And again, these are female plants that we'd be planting. Planting dates would be May to June ideally, and we could be planting into July for partly grown clones or seedlings. And in Kentucky, some of us that have had the chance to go down and visit some of the production in Western Kentucky have seen that they do plant as late as mid to late July. So that would be okay. As far as that population goes, again, we're only looking at about 2,000 plants to the acre, between 1,900 and 2,500 plants to the acre, and around 2,000 plants to the acre, spaced about 4 to 5 feet apart between the rows, and within the row about that same distance. And a lot of that is so that mechanical weed control can be done. With harvest of fiber and grain, we'd be looking at more conventional ways of handling things. So for fiber, it'd be a lot like hay production, and we would cut those stems, and the difference in our hay production would be that we'd leave it lay, and that's called retting, and it's a rotting process. So we leave that lay for 3 to 4 weeks, and it begins to break down and separate the bast or the outer fibers from that inner core or woodier material called the hurd. So that process gets started. And then of course we'd be using conventional balers to bale that, usually probably with large round. As far as grain harvest goes, with a combine, much like we'd harvest other crops, but there are some specialized equipment for dual purpose that could combine the grain as well as cut the plants to leave those stems or stalks laying in the field and retting to go back and harvest those for bales later. CBD production is a completely different animal. So our high concentrations of CBD are found in the flowers of the female plant and in the trichomes in particular. So they are very concentrated in CBD. And again, as I mentioned before, we do not want any male production there. The males will bring down the level of the CBD, so we don't want male plants anywhere in the vicinity. CBD harvest has been typically done with the use of a lot of labor. Hand harvest, there are mechanized harvest equipment, so large operations use other means, but hand harvest, especially in Kentucky, is still fairly common way of harvesting for CBD production. Once it's been harvested, it needs to go into drying facilities very quickly, and the plants can be hung and dried and try to get to a moisture below 10% for storage. Drying space is something that is important to have a well-ventilated place to store it. A lot of air movement and circulation will help because the large plants can hold quite a bit of moisture, and there could be some decomposition and breakdown going on there that we don't like. So we'd like to get that dry very quickly. After harvest, for CBD processing, we do what's called bucking, and that would be separating the flowers from the stem or the stalk. And that's done in some cases by hand or using a bucking machine. And it's usually a dry method where you put the stem, like this picture shows, into that machine, and it pulls it through and leaves the flowers harvested outside the machine. There are some other methods used that are being tried for wet bucking. So you'd want to check with your processor to see what's desired, but typically it's in the dry bucking, and a lot of it can be done by hand or with the bucking machines. That's a little bit of information about growing industrial hemp in Missouri. There's a lot more information found on the MU Extension Industrial Hemp website and the Missouri Department of Agriculture Missouri Hemp Program website. So please visit those sites. And also the MU experiment stations have grain fiber hemp plots throughout the state that was donated by Tiger Fiber. So we want to thank them for that. And we'll be providing some more information come this fall and winter on industrial hemp. So wish you luck with industrial hemp, and please contact these sites for further information. Thanks a lot.